Thank you so much for joining our Women in Engineering panel today. I'm really excited to get chatting with everyone. So really quickly, I'm Charisma. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm currently in my last year of materials engineering here at UBC. Last year, I was the Engineering Undergraduate Society president here at UBC Vancouver, so I have a bit of experience kind of around different student activities, and I'm really excited to be moderating today. So McKenna, if you'd like to introduce yourself first.
Hi guys, my name is McKenna Younglinga. I'm in my third year of electrical engineering here at UBC. I'm originally from Texas, United States, so I came here on a student visa, like a lot of you will. I was also a member of our engineering society. I was vice president externals, so I represented UBC at conferences across Canada. I also have a large background in research and will be starting my third research position pretty soon in controlled engineering.
Amazing. Katrina, if you'd like to go.
Hi everyone, my name is Katrina. I am a fourth year biomedical engineering student on the Vancouver campus. I am actually in between my third and fourth year because I've already done 8 months of co-op. I also have experience in research and I was a part of the dance team at UBC. And I am excited to join my next co-op in January.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashanika and I'm a second year mechanical engineering student at UBC Okanagan, and I am currently a second year representative for the Engineering Society on the Okanagan campus, and I'm also an executive for the Women in Engineering Club.
Amazing. So a lot of cool different experience, a lot of leadership. There's a lot of places for women in engineering to get involved, as you're going to hear about today. So I'll get right into the questions. Katrina, if you want to go first, maybe, how did you know engineering was right for you? And can you tell us why you chose UBC engineering?
Yeah, of course. I think I knew I wanted to do engineering since like the beginning of high school. I was very into problem solving and then like the sciences. And then I chose UBC engineering because I actually did a program with the Women Engineering high school mentorship program at the university here. So they partner grade 12 students with current UBC students. And that was my introduction to the university here. And I've still maintained that. So I'm now a mentor and I've been a mentor for 3 years. So that was kind of why I came to UBC, because I already knew there was such a huge community for women in engineering. And I already felt supported prior to even coming here as a student.
For sure. That's amazing. I also went to a lot of those outreach programs. I felt like that was a really great way to get my head around what engineering even was. Ashanika, if you'd like to go next.
Okay, so I chose engineering because I love like the hands-on work that comes with engineering. And I also like the idea of applying like concepts you learn in classrooms in the real world. And adding on to that, I would say that's also why I chose UBC, is because there are so many affiliated clubs that allow you to do that. I know for UBCO, there's motorsports, there's also the Rocketry Club, and those are some design teams I'm looking forward to joining. That's basically why I joined UBC as well.
For sure, yeah. And McKenna, if you'd like to go.
Yeah, sure. So I was always interested in STEM. I really liked learning how things worked and why they did that. So engineering seemed like a natural career choice. Engineering degrees are super versatile. So originally I thought I was going to go to medical school and I even worked on an ambulance. And the great thing with engineering degree is I can go to med school if I want, but I don't have to. And I can work as an engineer, and all of that is really awesome. I heard about UBC in my senior year of high school. Being from the States, we don't really go abroad for university. And I thought it'd be really cool to experience that. UBC has a really great reputation worldwide, which was really important to me, and is a huge commitment to diversity. Having professors talk about experiences that are unique to myself and talk about things that affect my community is really important to me, and having those experiences was really nice to have. And there's a big support for women in engineering. I have so many female engineering friends, and they're really amazing for sure.
Yeah, amazing. I remember when I was picking schools, well, initially I wanted to go into physics, not engineering. I picked engineering because I realized about halfway through my UBC application that I was a social person and I didn't want to be a professor. so yeah. And yeah, picking schools was really hard. There's so many good options, but I remember I actually visited some of the schools out east. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what they were, but the weather was so depressing that honestly it was kind of an easier choice to come here. And like you mentioned, UBC actually has the most, or UBC Vancouver has the most design teams out of every engineering school in all of Canada. So things like that, like you're going to get those opportunities. Yeah, so starting with the Shanika next, since we have a lot of future students here, I want to know what it was like when you first came to UBC, how you made friends, and how did you get used to being in university?
Okay, so basically, when I first came to UBC, it was very scary. I second guessed myself a lot before talking to others, and I think that's what prevented me from making friends right away. I was also a commuting student, so that also meant I didn't live on dorms, so I didn't have like direct contact with first-year engineering students. So my biggest advice for first-year engineering students would be to just go for it. Don't second guess yourself. Everyone's feeling the same way you are. The first friend I made, her name is Cassie. We both just kind of looked at each other in our calculus class and we just started talking, and we just like, it just flowed so well just because we both went in it with the same mindset.
Amazing. McKenna, if you wanted to share a bit more just about what it was like when you came to university, making friends, just that transition.
Yeah, I found it pretty easy to come to university since I'd taken a gap year between high school and college. So for me, I had a bit more maturity, which was really nice. And honestly, I found that it was super easy just to talk to people, like just talk to people in your classes, like knock on the door of a person like next to you in the dorms. And everyone was super, super welcoming, and everyone wants to make new friends since most people are new to university. And maybe you have a few friends from your high school if you live in Kelowna or if you live in Vancouver. But for most of us, we don't know anyone going to these universities. And so I found it was really great to make friends in my classes by just talking to people classes. And then also if I went to events. So I played tennis and volleyball, so I'd go to like recreational events and just make friends there. And that was a really great way to meet friends outside of engineering, which is also really important. But yeah, everyone was super, super kind and caring. And also, there's a lot of resources on campus to support you academically. So there's a student learning hub, there's academic advising, there's the DRC, which is for students with disabilities. These are all resources that can help you with your academics or your social life if you need it. So I definitely think like going to these is super important.
For sure. And Katrina, if you'd like to share.
Yeah, of course. So UBC Vancouver has a program called Jumpstart, which is a week-long program that takes place before school starts. And I found that program to be extremely helpful. You move into your residence dorms a week before. They also do this with commuter students. And you have just a week to kind of get used to the campus, meeting friends, getting used to sitting in huge lecture halls, finding all your classes. I also loved the fact that just like in dorms, I got to live in dorms first year, and I would meet half of my friends in the hallways or in the bathrooms. And as long as like you're living with people you've never met, so you're like trying to get used to that. So it's like you'll just like randomly talk to someone while you're both brushing your teeth, and then the next day you'll go to all your meals together, and then by the week after you're like best friends. So I think if you come to the Vancouver campus, I would totally suggest to do Jumpstart, whether that's for the commuting students or if you're living here, because I found that process of just having that week to be a little bit of a bubble, so that I didn't feel like I was rushing into university and then having to make friends during that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's definitely, I also go to UBC Vancouver, so I say that's a pretty common experience. I also lived in the dorms, and it'd be like the next girl I met. It was really cool too, because like McKenna kind of touched on, I got to meet a lot of people who also weren't in engineering. Since your classes are going to be so much of your time, having the opportunity to meet people outside engineering, it's kind of an opportunity to touch grass, kind of remember that other things are going on in the world. And I'd also say a lot of the times being a girl in engineering, when you go into your classes and then other girls see you, you're just kind of automatically sitting together. It just kind of keeps happening, just for the opportunity to have someone who kind of gets what you're going through. So I'd actually say I feel like a lot of the times I feel like girls kind of have an easier time making friends when they come in, because right away we're all looking for each other, which is really cool. Yeah, and something else I wanted to point out was that we have a lot of cool groups on campus. I know at UBC Okanagan, they have a women in engineering group. We do as well. There's a question in the chat about it, but I believe our high school mentorship program is through women in engineering. Katrina, if you want to touch on that, maybe.
Yeah, sure. The program starts usually between May and January, and all people from all of UBC can kind of sign up for this program as a mentor. So you can get paired with a whole bunch of different types of UBC engineering students. All are female orientated. So then you'll fill out a questionnaire and you'll get paired with people who have similar interests to you, or maybe are in the specialization that you're interested in. That program usually goes for about 3 to 4 months. And we have on-campus events such as a huge tour. We'll have like fun weekend events where we'll do crafts and get to know each other for like the mentees so they meet new friends. It's also a good way to just ask more questions. So coming to like open house events, you ask a lot of questions, you get a lot of information, but having that one-on-one time with your mentor and say 2 other mentees gives you a kind of a smaller setting to feel more comfortable to ask more personal questions maybe. I'd say if you have the chance to do it, sign up. It doesn't matter if you live in BC or you're far away, because a lot of the events do also happen through Zoom.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, just a reminder for everyone who's watching right now, I'm going to open up to audience Q&A in about 2 questions. So fire off whatever questions you have, thumbs up ones you want answered, because that's the order I'll go through them in. But yeah, just shoot any questions you have. So back to McKenna, would you be able to share what it's like being a woman in engineering and kind of your experience, a bit of an overview?
I would say that it's overall pretty positive. Women are still the minority in engineering by far. Engineering is still very much a male-dominated field. I will say when I look at classes that are younger than me, that there is a higher percentage of women, which is really positive to see that there's like every year it's getting a little bit better. I will say electrical is very much male-dominated. I would say electrical is probably the most male-dominated. Electrical and computer engineering tend to be. This isn't a bad thing. The guys are super, super nice. They really don't care. And I will say reaching out to female professors and older students is really valuable. I'm going to work for a female prof, which is a really great experience since I can talk to them about their shared experiences. Like this summer, I got to work for Indigenous prof, and it was really great to talk to somebody who shared my experiences. And I've gone to female profs and been like, hey, career advice and stuff like that. And they're always willing to answer questions. So overall, really positive. And the community here is just so lovely, and I'm really grateful for it, for sure.
Amazing. Ashonika, would you be able to share a bit about your experience being a woman in engineering?
Yes. So I would say I would agree with McKenna. It is overall a very positive experience. There's tons of support on campus as well. I would say that's kind of what helped me like grow as a student and as a person. Because at first I did like shy away. So like if I was in a group project, I wouldn't share my input. And I feel like that's kind of what makes things unenjoyable. Because like as soon as I started to give my input and I started to actually participate in discussions, I enjoyed and actually learned so much about projects. So I would say that's also something I would like advise first years to do, is especially for girls in engineering, is just don't be afraid to just give your input. No one's going to judge you. It's a very positive experience, and you're going to have the support from other women in engineering students.
For sure, yeah. And Katrina, if you have any reflections on your experience in engineering?
Yeah, I think I agree with McKenna for sure. I'm lucky that biomed is actually a lot more female oriented than most programs. I think we would say it's probably one of the most, like ratio wise, I usually say it's like 60% women, 40% male. But even with that, I feel like as long as you make an effort to try to make connections with your classmates, no matter what gender they identify with, you'll have a great time here. I think both McKenna and Shonika have both touched on great resources, and they're both available at the Okanagan and Vancouver campus. So as long as you reach out for help or you just try to make an effort, I'd say being a female in engineering is never a thing. I think it's actually something to be excited and proud of, to be that part and show like who you actually are.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with all of you. I think I definitely think it's somewhat of an experience. You're definitely different. The ratio is not exactly 50-50, unfortunately. As of right now, UBC engineering sits at about 30% at the Vancouver campus. Certain programs vary. I know electrical, like McKenna mentioned, both campuses is lower, biomedical is higher. So there's a range. But yeah, there's definitely different experiences. I think one thing as well that I found really helpful going into my first year was like meeting second year, third year, fourth year girls, really finding people I could look up to, seeing like the capstones they were doing, seeing them be the captains of their design teams, presidents of their clubs. It was really clear that you could see that like women can do very well here. And finding those supportive groups, again, like we kind of touched on earlier, because there's less people are honestly more likely to want to talk to you about that. Like if you go up to an upper year girl who's the head of a club or something, she will want to talk to you about it. She'll want to help foster that, however you identify. And I think that's really cool. So yeah, I think that's kind of a big thing as well that I found really useful. Just wherever you can find upper years who can kind of mentor you through a lot of this, so the mentorship doesn't just stop when you get in. I think that's an amazing opportunity. For me, I'm just going to plug it. I found that through a sorority. I found it through the Engineering Undergraduate Society. I know a lot of my friends found it through design teams. There's a lot of different ways to find community on this campus, so it's pretty cool. So Katrina, what advice would you give to a young woman who wants to pursue engineering?
I would say just go for it. It will be scary at first. Like when university is scary at first, there is that transition period. But if it's really something you want to do, make that list of like your top priorities and just try to check off every single one. So for me, I really wanted to get involved in research on campus. So after my first year, I made sure to talk to all the profs that I thought their like research was really, really interesting. And like McKenna, I am working with a female researcher in my degree section, and I have found it super, super great to be able to speak to someone that has had a similar experience to me. So I would say just like go for it, write that like top goals list and try and check off every single one you can.
Yeah, amazing. Ashanika, what about you? What advice would you give?
I would say find yourself a good support group. That could either be creating like a good group of friends or maybe find a mentor on campus. I know for myself, I really looked up to my chemistry prof. She was she had a high education in the degree I wanted to pursue, which was in biomedical engineering. And I don't know, it just it inspired me, and it allowed me to go, allowed me to be more willing to join these clubs. And like Charisma was saying, looking up to girls who have a higher role in clubs like the Okanagan Engineering Society. I definitely did that for the Women in Engineering Club. One of my friends, Mahek, she is the vice president, and she definitely did influence me to join the Women in Engineering Club. And just having that support group, so I could go to some of my friends are in Women in Engineering with the problems I have around campus. It's just a nice way to rant and to just let out your emotions, we all have those days, and I think it's so important to just talk about it and get advice from other people.
Amazing. And McKenna, do you have any advice to a young woman who wants to pursue engineering?
I would agree with just going for it. Honestly, there's really nothing you can lose. My friends joke around that I'm kind of the friend that just goes for things. Before my first year, I applied for a research position and I got it. I ended up winning an award for that at an international conference. So I would say just go for things, even if you don't think you're qualified. It really, you never know what's going to happen. And the thing is also to remind yourself that when you're getting these opportunities, you're getting them because of your merits and your work, and you really do deserve them. I think as women in engineering, that's something super important for us to remember. And also don't be afraid to ask for help. We've all been through it. We all understand. Talk to your friends, talk to older women, talk to professors. If you need help, people will be there to support you. And don't delay it, even if it's academic or social. It really is super important.
Yeah, definitely. That's all great advice, especially I'd say the help thing. I think coming out of high school, everyone's really nervous to ask for help because, you want to seem like the smartest in the room. It won't be a big deal, though, and it'll only help you in the long run to ask for help. So let's move to audience questions. So we'll start with Ashanika. How do you manage to stay motivated and passionate about your major and not burn out?
I like to watch other influencers. I know there was a student, her name was Madison, and she graduated from UBCO. She was involved with End Stories, and just watching her videos, it just it's so inspiring and so motivating. And it yes, I love scrolling on TikTok, but just watching her videos, it just keeps that mindset to do your work and manage your time, that kind of stuff.
For sure. And Katrina, what about you? How do you stay passionate and motivated?
Yeah, I think similar to what I was saying about like writing your goals, I think just like if there's going to be times where you're like overwhelmed or you feel burnt out just by the amount of work that you're completing on a daily basis, because university is very much a full-time job. But I think just reminding yourself like how far you've already gotten and what you really want to achieve. So for me, getting to like close to the end of my degree, I have to remind myself, okay, you have a year and a half. Like, what do you want to achieve in this last like year and a half of almost like freedom before I have to get into like full adult life and like working life? So I think just like reminding myself like how proud I am of myself and where I've come and like what I want to achieve is always what tries to keep me motivated.
Yeah, amazing. And McKenna, what about you? How do you stay motivated?
I say that taking a break from engineering is always a really good thing. Don't lose your hobbies. They are so important. During first year, I would be studying a lot. I did pull some really long hours, I won't lie. It was not easy, but my friends would sometimes find me up in the first floor of a dorm, so you could walk outside my room and look inside. So my friends like look inside and stuff. They used to bang on my windows and stuff. And a lot of times they see me painting or writing. And I found that having like a way to step away from your work for a little bit is so, so valuable. So whether that's like watching a favorite TV show or doing a hobby or playing sports, it's really going to make you more sane in the long run for sure. And I think that that helps me keep me motivated in the sense that I can step away and still value what I'm doing academically too.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. A lot of people forget their hobbies, but it's what you enjoy. Don't forget it in all the math. So next question, starting with McKenna this time. Do you feel prepared for life after university, whether that's a master's, an internship? What are your plans? And how do you feel about that transition?
So currently I was admitted to co-op. So I will start my first co-op in May 2025. I was talking to one of the advisors a while ago, and she admitted that in her 30s, she still doesn't know what she's doing. And I was like, oh, great, perfect. Honestly, you never really figure it out. It's kind of just trial and error. I will say I do feel prepared in the sense that I have an idea of what I want to do career-wise, and that's through courses and talking to professors and research. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm hoping co-op will give me the industry experience I require to get a job after graduation, since I've heard from a lot of friends that if you get a co-op, you usually get hired back or have the industry connection, which is really valuable. So yeah, that's currently the plan, but I have 3 years left after this one, or with this one. So I've got a while to plan, so.
No, for sure. Katrina, what about you? How do you feel about that transition?
I have a year and a half left. I am going on my last co-op in January, and I think being someone who's always had a plan and not knowing exactly what I wanted to do with my degree in the first few years of like university was definitely a little bit intimidating. Like McKenna said, through talking with profs, going to classes and making connections in like industry, I've kind of figured out which path I want to go to. I want to go into industry after university. I'm using my last 8 months in co-op to try an industry position that I didn't think I would be interested in, but allows me to try both mechanical and biomedical engineering. So that is something I'm really excited for. I think for myself, being prepared is always something I try to do. But what I've learned in university is you can be as prepared as you think you will be, and you are not. So just getting ready for the challenges that I will be thrown into. I think preparing myself just to be spontaneous and like adaptive with whatever comes is probably what I'm looking most forward to. Even if that's going to be hard, I think it's just like, it's a fun adventure, just trying to work through everything.
For sure. And Ashanika, what about you? How do you feel about that eventual transition?
So because I'm in second year, I haven't really thought about it as much. It's definitely scary, but I would say right now I'm like looking for co-op and like internship opportunities just so I could like branch out. Like I'm kind of on the same boat as Katrina where I'm going to do a concentration biomedical engineering and I'm doing a degree in mechanical. So I do want to play around with that, see what I like, see what I don't like. And maybe like experiment with different kinds of like industry or like maybe different places. Talking to my advisor, like it definitely did help, because at first I was kind of like concerned if I even like wanted to do mechanical, and he did like reassure me that it's okay to be uncertain, and that doing co-op is a great way to like try out different things. And I think that's what really helped me as well.
For sure, yeah. No, that's great. I mean, co-op is an amazing way to figure it out. I kind of have a little bit of a different perspective because I'm on the other end of all my co-op. I'm in my last year. Across my degree, I've done 20 months of co-op, which is more than you need, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just kind of kept going. Co-ops have been super great for me to figure out what industry is, especially for me as a materials engineer. I didn't know what that was in high school. So really trying to understand what all the different career paths were. I've tried out a little bit of everything. I've tried out co-ops that aren't materials co-ops. Like I just ended up in an elect job at one point and no one really questioned it. So you can kind of do what you'd like. You can try a lot of different things out. Thing that I've always really held close to me that a lot of people have told me is an engineer is an engineer. And when you've graduated and when you're on the other side, people will still trust that you know how to solve problems, that you know how to handle different tasks. So yeah, it's a scary transition. The transition's a bit sooner for me, but I think that it'll be a really cool one. And I cannot recommend co-op enough because I would have no idea what I wanted without it. So quick question that's more been upvoted. So I'm going to ask more suited towards Katrina and Ashanika, I think. How did you know engineering was for you in high school? This person really likes biology, but physics is somewhat difficult for them. So they're trying to understand if maybe BMeg is for them. So Katrina, maybe if you want to go first.
Of course, yeah. I was introduced to BMeg, I think the first year it came to UBC, because it used to be a concentration like it is at UBCO. It was more so like a master's degree you get afterwards. But through researching where it was available, because it was here and there was 2 other schools, both out east, that have it, I think I realized that I really wanted to help in the medical field and healthcare. But I didn't want to go through a more like science degree, which is more a theoretical degree. I wanted to have that like hands-on and practical experience. So for me, knowing I wanted to go engineering, but I still wanted to have hands in the healthcare industry, this is why I wanted to go into BMeg. I think the great thing about our classes is they really teach you all of the different ways you can get into it. At UBC Vancouver, they used to have specializations, and they still kind of have 4 different ways you can try BMeg, at least in our specialization, which allow you to see like how you could do research, how you can do industry, how you could go to med school. So I think it's a great way to apply it if you really want that hands-on experience.
For sure. Nashanika, what about you? How did you kind of get to a BMeg concentration?
I would say I was kind of on the same boat as Katrina. I did really want to go into the healthcare industry. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon in my grade 11 year, and my high school offered an opportunity for students to do an internship. So I did my internship at a hospital, and I realized I don't like it very much. And I also realized that I wasn't going to be able to apply like hands-on work in my study or like in my career. And that's something that I really did want to do. And my sister, she was doing civil engineering, and we kind of just put 2 and 2 together, and she kind of influenced me to go into biomedical engineering. And that's kind of how I decided.
Awesome. So we're coming to the end of our session. Lots of great questions in the chat, so we'll go through and try to answer them after this, just written responses. But I did want to give everyone an opportunity to kind of give a final piece of advice, shout out any initiatives you've been in or clubs you've been in or how that's really affected you throughout your degree, just before we sign off. So Ashanika, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I would say I would totally recommend joining design teams, joining different clubs around campus. It definitely did help me decide what discipline I wanted to go into. So if anyone is like unsure of what they would want to go into in the future, that is definitely a great way to decide. And again, I would just recommend finding like a good support group, because that's going to help you all the way through your journey at UBC.
Amazing. McKenna, if you'd like to go next.
I would say ask for help when you need it. If you're struggling in a class, go to professors. If you're struggling with like your mental health, go to health and wellness. And also find a support group that identifies the same way as you. So like women in engineering, or if you're a certain like ethnic group, finding like a little house or something like that is really helpful. or people that play your same sport, just find someone with connections to you and they will be able to support you through your degree, because it's definitely, you can't do this alone. Engineering is a big group degree and you'll be working with people for the rest of your life for sure.
Yeah, amazing. And Katrina, if you have anything.
Yeah, I agree with both Shauna and McKenna, just finding your support system. If you are still interested in UBC Vancouver or UBC Okanagan, try doing any of the mentorships that we have here and attending those open houses. They allow you to talk to a whole lot more students, especially the open house in November. You can go and talk to people one-on-one. I'd say for myself, the biggest thing I'd say is just keep going. I know what I want to do. I have that kind of goal in mind. So try to achieve that goal, keep pushing. And if you need help, ask for it, because there's so many support systems, whether they're academic, for mental health or physical. There's so many things you can get help for. And as long as you ask for it, you'll get it. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks so much to our awesome panelists. That was really good advice and really good insights. Hopefully everyone has a bit more of an understanding what it's like being a woman in engineering at UBC, whether that's in Vancouver or the Okanagan. But yeah, thank you so much. And hopefully everyone joins tomorrow. There'll be more opportunities to ask more questions of other students. But yeah, thanks so much, everyone.